Alright, so I'm re-recording this because apparently I don't know how to record videos properly. But anyways, that's beside the point. So this video is going to be a rant on why Phoenix PD is basically useless. I mean, I'm not going to say basically, but mostly. Like, out of 9 out of 10 times I call them or have to interact with them, it's just like, why did I call y'all? Like, what are you here for? Why are we paying you? You know? I call you, I expect you to do your job as I'm expected to do my job, but that's never the case. So what happened today is we get to the store. When we pull up, I notice this dude is like knocked out, knotted in his car. And I'm like, okay, that's weird, you know, especially being behind the wheel of a car. Whatever, we finish our round, we go talk to the lady inside, and I ask her, I'm like, hey, how long has that car been there? She's like, oh, I don't know, maybe like 10 minutes. And I was like, okay, yeah, he has to go, you know, we can't just have this dude knocked out, you know, in front. And so we go out there and we knock on the window, to try to get him up, and eventually after like 3-4 times he wakes up, so we know he's not dead, you know, that's always a plus. And we're like, hey, are you okay? You need medical or something? You know, he was kind of older, so, you know, you never know, his blood sugar could have been low, but he's like, no, I'm okay, I'm good. And so we go back in, we're talking, you know, we're like, you know, just trying to figure out what's going on. Well, we go back out there again because we're like, did he go back to sleep? You know, what's the issue here? And I guess he was getting his money to come inside and buy some stuff. So whatever, we go to take off. Well, we go about our day, doing our rounds, and almost 2 hours later, we get a call from the same girl, like, hey, that guy's still sleeping out front, like, can you guys come? So we're like, okay, whatever, we're on the way. As soon as we pull up, I'm like, we've already told him multiple times, you know, at this point it's going to be a cop issue or medical. So I call the non-emergency line, no answer. I'm like, oh, okay. So I'm like, I'm going to call 911. This dude's like literally knocked out behind the wheel of his car. Mind you, the car is on, lights on, he got his turn signal on. I'm like, what? That's beside the point. Well, I get on the phone with them, I tell them everything that happened. They're like, all right, we're gonna send someone. Over 15 minutes later, they show up. But before we talk about that, we're gonna talk about how yesterday I had to call PD yet again, but this time it was for I called the non-emergency line because we pulled up to this one store, and this person, I don't know if it was a man or a woman, it was hard to tell because they were like dirty face, like, we're not even gonna get into that. But we pull up and they're sleeping in front of the store, like dead asleep. So we wake them up like, hey, you have to go, you know, I'll give you a few minutes to get up, get your stuff together, but you cannot be out front sleeping, loitering, all that. Like, you have to go. Well, they get up and they're arguing with my partner, and I'm not finna argue with nobody. Like, I'm gonna ask you to leave. You're a grown adult, you should know better. You're either gonna leave or you're not, and I'm gonna call the cops on you. It's literally that simple, you know. And so we go finish, you know, doing what we're doing. We'll go out there again, like, hey, you have to go, you cannot be here. They eating their sandwich, drinking their drink, you know, living their best life like we ain't said shit to them. So what do? Called non-emergency. I'm like, hey, you know, the person's loitering out front. Told them multiple times to leave. They haven't left. Like, we ain't said nothing to them. Oh yeah, we're gonna send someone. Okay. 10 minutes, 15 minutes, 20 minutes, 35 minutes, 45 minutes. No one ever showed up. So at this point, we're like, you know what? We have other shit to do. We're gonna leave. Did they ever show up? I don't know, but when we made it back around, that person was gone, so who knows. So back to the story for tonight. Fuck, I forgot where we left off. Okay, so I think I left off where we called the cops. Yeah, 15 minutes later, cops show up, pull up behind this guy, like basically bumper to bumper, so he wouldn't be able to go backwards, but he would definitely be able to go forward into the store. That's beside the point. Well, I try to tell him, like, hey, this dude's been like this, for hours. I don't know if he's, if he's under the influence, he's drunk, like what the issue is. They don't say nothing to me, which, whatever, I don't really care. I'm just trying to let y'all know. Well, they're beating on the window. Dude doesn't wake up. So finally, one of the cops literally opens this man's door, still knocked out, reaches in the car, pulls his keys out, puts them up top, man still knocked out. After him, like, fucking, like, hey man, wake up. Finally he wakes up. He's like, first thing the cop tells him, are you good to drive? Huh? I'm like, there ain't no way. I'm thinking to myself, there ain't no way that they just gonna let this man drive off, right? Well, long story short, they did. But before they got to that point, basically what they did was, you could hear the cops, I wasn't too far from him, asking him, like, hey man, do you know where you're at? Where do you live? Do you know where you're going? And at one point the cop goes, you don't know where you're at? You don't know where you're going? And again, are you good to drive, man? I'm like, there's no way. I'm like, they have to be baiting him, right? Like, there's no way. And by this time, I go back into the to the store and I tell her, what's going on. And she's like, oh, they're probably, just gonna, like, let him go and then, like, follow him and then pull him over and go from there. And I'm like, there ain't no way. Like, I mean, I can see that, but I'm like, why would they risk letting this man drive? Like, he doesn't know his name, where he's at, where he going, none of that. Well, long story short, they give him his keys back. He starts his car, rolls his window down because his tint was definitely illegal, but we don't even care about that. Pulls off and pulls out. You think the cops pulled out behind him? They didn't. They let that motherfucker drive off into the night like it was nobody's business. That shit sent me. Because I'm like, how many times do you hear of people who shouldn't be driving that are behind the wheel and they either hit someone or cause an accident and either hurt or kill people, and the cops just let him go like it was nothing? Like, how many times, I feel like, if that was me, like, after, we came back the second time, I'm like, there's no way I'm gonna feel okay as a person if I wake this man up and he drives off. But I don't know, maybe, I guess if you're a cop, you're like, fuck it, he kills someone, I don't know. I couldn't be a cop. I respect them, I couldn't do that fucking job. But just like I couldn't do that job is not for everyone. And there's, we're not even gonna get started on that. But it's crazy because the girl, when I talked to her, I don't remember if I said this or not because I just been ranting and rumbling. She said that she called non-emergency, couldn't get through. They sent her to voicemail. I don't know if she called 911, but I'm just like, what the fuck? Like, what are y'all good for? What do we call you for? Like, and this isn't the first time that I've had to call the cops. Like, I literally call them once a week. Usually not. I usually don't call 911 unless it's like an emergency. And there was definitely an emergency there. Even if he was tired like that, they shouldn't have let him drive, because being super tired is just as bad as fucking driving drunk, They just fucking let him go. I don't know, maybe I'll start making videos on just my experiences. I don't know. I don't think they're really all that interesting, but I just wanted to fucking get this off my chest because this shit had me fucking fuming. But Phoenix PD takes another L.